Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is another Real Talks about what I learned while working in retail. Okay, so first thing I want to say that this video is inspired by a blog post by Parfaitement Parnell. I will link it down below where she shared her experiences from working at a restaurant and how that helped her with her teaching. My retail experience comes from two different stores. One store I worked at was a sports store in like a lower middle class area. Another one was a big brand in a mall. At the sports store, we had a lot of customers who didn't speak English, and this was a great experience for me and how I related it to when I'm dealing with students who are ELL or who are new to our country and to our school. So a lot of the times I would pull out my phone with these customers and go to Google Translate and get them to somehow communicate with me. We did a lot of hand motions and gesturing in order to get the point across. And I know a lot of the times those customers really appreciated me taking the time to do that and using my phone as a way to communicate. And the same thing kind of happens at school, where if there's a student who can't communicate, we try and use different strategies in order to get them learning English, but also just communicating with us in any way that they can, whether it be through pictures, whether it be through words or technology. There is a way to make those people and make those students feel welcome. So that was such a great experience for me and a great transferable skill that I could bring to my classroom. One of the things that I learned while working in retail was patience. There are two types of customers. The customers that are nice but ask a lot of questions, and the customers that are just plain rude. You need to have patience for both. I would say that being put into these situations where I need to constantly be pleasant and open and listening, even if I was right. Dealing with these types of customers and having to field these negative and positive reactions and multiple questions has really helped me on my teaching journey. When you have students, let's say, who ask you a ton of the same questions and you need to kind of rephrase them or reframe them each time until they understand. Or when you have parents that may be asking you some really difficult questions that you have to answer with poise and elegance and ease so that your point can be made across without sounding offensive or sounding upset. Working in retail has taught me a lot about marketing, which has helped me with my experience with my Teachers Pay Teachers store. It's about the way you are presenting the items, the way you talk about them, and the way you can show customers that this item is what they need. So a lot of those things I do apply when I am making products or when I'm promoting them on my Instagram account or the way I describe them on Teachers Pay Teachers. One thing that I found really valuable while I was working in retail was remembering customers' names. When you have repeat customers, they come all the time to the store, so they get to know the staff because there's so few of you. And so I always try to remember customers' names or at least remember what they bought last. And I found that was super helpful in keeping those customer relations and having them always come to me when they need something. When I'm in the classroom, it's really important that you know your students' names. A lot of the time you get your class list before September, and usually you can look them up in some kind of school program and see what their class picture looks like from last year or their individual student picture from last year. When I know I'm heading into a new class or a new school, I try to look at those things beforehand and get to know everyone's first name and last name and their face, so that on that first day of school, when they see you and maybe they'll recognize you first, then at least you can call them by their name and you can get that relationship established. Students really appreciate you knowing their name and also knowing how to pronounce their name properly. If you don't know, it's better to just ask and make sure you remember. Another thing about retail that I learned was being comfortable in my own skin. When you are at school, you're kind of in your own bubble. So everybody knows you, everyone knows what you're capable of. But when you're in retail, you are meeting strangers, starting conversations with strangers, all the time. So it really helped with my people skills and being able to ask generic questions that weren't too forthcoming or weren't too pushy, but also making myself available if a customer had a question. So this kind of I utilize at school, and especially when I was supply teaching, because then I was going into different classrooms, different schools all of the time. And so I needed to make sure that I had the people skills to create conversation with strangers and know how to ask questions and when to ask them, and being comfortable with a new group of students each day. That is all for this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and saw how some of your external experiences outside of teaching are really transferable and can be used in the classroom or for your teacherpreneur activities. Leave a comment down below with your experience outside of teaching that's really helped you in the classroom. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time.